making a kick from scratch with a modular. That is today's video. Let's go do that right now. Hey, what's up? I'm in a little kitchen and thank you for checking out yet another video. Now, if this is your first time here, don't hesitate to click subscribe. You'll be notified whenever I upload a new video, but that is when you click that bell icon as well. You'll be kept in the loop. You won't miss out on anything. And I guess it's Patreon time. So welcome the DJT003, Hal Krosno, and oh no, it's Fra, which is Frankie Claessens. Those are my new patrons. Welcome. I'm actually in the process of ordering parts for my mixer. This mixer is a cross between a club mixer and a studio mixer. I do believe for us Dollars cats, there is no mixer. I don't understand why there's not. There don't seem to be one. I think there is a gap and I think I need to fill it. So I'm actually working on it. I've been talking to my patrons. I've been spreading around my designs and I'm getting some good feedback on that. So that is good. So can you imagine a small, say, form factor mixer which is dedicated to performing? Because if you're not octave 1, you probably won't have the extra pair of hands and feet, if you're using a foot pedal that is. But you know that if you want to utilize transitions, you want to do certain things, if you've got more synthesizers than you've got hands, then you might be in for a treat. So if you can automate certain things, have an analog kind of workflow, or even a connectivity workflow where certain synthesizers get connected in a certain way. I'm not going to divulge what it is exactly, but let me tell you, we're actually building it. We're working on it, we're ordering parts, we are getting the PCBs done. It's cool. I'm doing that. And you can support that fact by supporting me on patreon.com/analogkitchen. Is there more? I can hear you ask. Is there more? Yes, there is more. What is there? Discord. Discord's connected to Patreon, which means I've got the liveliest community like ever. I mean, everybody seems to be getting in touch over there, which is really cool. So if you have got more questions than you have answers, then that might be the place for you. What will you find in there? Another good question. I knew you were going to ask that. What you will find is Dollars guys, PCB guys, so the DIY community is in there, modular people, people having just like synth stuff, sound designers, everyone is there. I'm very happy and I'm proud because when I started out this YouTube channel, which wasn't all that long ago, mind you, I didn't expect this community to completely like blow out of the water. Is that a saying in English? I don't know. I'm not English. Anyway, so welcome to all you new subscribers out there. If you like what you see and you love what you hear, head over to Patreon, which is patreon.com/analogkitchen. And support the flow over there. Now, enough of the self-promotion. I'll stop now and I'll get into the video. Not before I tell you. Find the music on Bandcamp. That's a good one, yeah? And those sample packs, if you like the samples I'm using, not so much today because today is a different kind of vibe, but you can find that in the link also noted in the fold below, as well as the equipment that I'm using, also in the fold below. Now, enough with the self-promotion. What else can I say about me? Okay, no, that's enough about me. Let's talk about me. What do you think of me? Now, it's a while ago, but Erica Synths, the lovely people over, have sent me some really nice, cool modules. I'm not a modular guy per se, but I do love my modular synthesizers because I like to create sounds on them, which in turns I either use in my live set by sampling them into my Akai MPC Live. Hey, wicked. Akai, you really did a great job on the 2.10 update, which I've not downloaded and I've not used yet, but anyway, good job. So my modular synthesizer, I really like working on it. So today I thought, you know what, to spice things and switch things up a bit, let's make a kick from scratch. You know, just start at the beginning and just utilize a kick. Now I've already made a kick, so I've patched it, but also you can find the layout for the patch, which is over. Find it on my Patreon page, and that's where you can just like find how I made this patch and made this kick from scratch. which is cool because sound design is always something that I really like. I mean, it's cool to get into a jam, but it's also cool to just get into a zone. Now, I'll take you over to my live set where I'll take you to the small modular setup that I have. I will utilize those Erica Synths modules. I will get into what they do specifically on future videos, as they give me 6 modules. Filter, high pass filter, low pass filter with a coupler, envelope generator. They gave me a delay, which is some sort of a flanger, and there was another module that they sent, and we're going to get into that. So Erica Synths, thank you very much. You guys are the coolest. I'll be in touch, and more on that later. Now let's head over to the live set and let's set it up. Let's go and make that kick from scratch. Let's go do that. You ready? Let's go. This is yummy. This is yummy. And I'll tell you why it's yummy. Because it's a kick that I made from scratch. Listen to that. Now, it's got all the makings of something that can be very aggressive, but at the same time, it also got something of a subtle sort of like texture. Let's listen to. Very important. Oh man, I'm liking this. Erica, since you guys are making the wickedest modules ever. Right guys, that is a bit of what's going on right here. Now, let's turn everything off. Let's turn everything off. Okay, so hey, welcome, thank you for viewing this. If you are new to the channel, welcome, thank you for watching. If you want to know what's in my flight case, you need to just like check out a few other videos, because today the video is completely something else. It's making a kick from scratch. I'm lying. Well, I've already made the kick, but I will take you through the process on how I patched it up. It looks complicated, it might even be complicated, but it is really not that complicated. Now, you need to figure out what's happening. I've got my modular small setup, I've got a bigger setup, but this is the, well, road ready sort of like small tactile setup I want to bring with me. And yeah, I'm scared as hell. You know what? I'm not too convinced I can make it work on stage, but that's the beauty of it. Let's just see if I can do it. Now, I am here. This is my hand, so you know that I'm here. It's really me. Check out my tattoo, so you know it is me. I'm here. What have I got? Now, first of all, let me say thank you to Erica Synths, because what they have done is, last time they sent over that filter that I asked for. So like, listen, I'm a guy with a small YouTube channel. Can you please like send over some stuff? And they were like, okay, let's review it. Yeah, why not? But little did I know, months later, now I get an email saying, hey, did you move? Have you got a new address? Because we've got some new modules that we would love to send to you. And I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, so lo and behold, what have I got? I've got the high pass filter, the new one, with the coupler. The low pass filter, I will get into what's happening over there. I've got an envelope generator, I've got the ring cross fade, and then I've got the black delay. So what is happening right here? Okay, what I've done though I will get into the specifics of what those other modules do, because as you can see, the black delay is not linked up, as well as the ring crossfade as well. But what I've done, I've got the envelope generator, I've got that wired up, and I've got like the low pass filter also set up. Now let's get into what it does exactly. This is the cutoff frequency knob here, is self-explanatory. This basically sweeps through the frequency. This is the input level for how loud the audio signal is coming in, and then obviously there's a CV level for controlling the cutoff frequency. Then there's a resonance filter over here, a resonance level, and the resonance dial, which you can also manipulate by sending in CV into its resonating thing. So you got the fixed, there's a CV input on CV1, which is attenuating the CV1 level. So that and that one is also going in here, and then the CV2 is a fixed one, if I'm not mistaken. Now, the nice part is there is a coupler module that ties the high pass and the low pass together, because what you can do, if you would picture an envelope, or maybe you can look at like maybe a FabFilter EQ, that might visualize it for you. If you have a cutoff on the bottom, a low cut and a high cut, then you obviously are looking at a sort of like slope on both ends. This slope now with the center frequency is dead in the middle. When you switch this frequency center knob on the coupler, if you connect those two together, it will sweep that middle frequency up and down. Now there's a little button in the middle that says mode. One is called band pass, which is the band that you can actually pinpoint. Then you can tweak what goes where, how far these two slopes are either together or spaced apart. And then with band reject, which says PR over here, it does the opposite thing. So the band in the middle will get rejected, so you will hear something else on the other side. And then again, then you've got an input 1 and an input 2 and an output right there. Okay, that's what the filter does. I will do future videos on exactly what it's doing, but for now I'm making a kick from scratch. Now you can hear that it's alive. It's like a pulsating sort of like blob of, I don't know what the hell it is, but soon as if I'm hitting the multi-clock here, you can hear, there you go. Now this is a dirty ass bass drum as it is. What have I done? I've got my oscillator over here. I've got an amplifier over here, a VCA. Then I've got the Metropolis, which is my one sequencer, and I've got the Rene here, which is collecting dust but not doing anything at the moment. As I said, the high pass filter, the coupler for the filter, the low pass filter right here. So these three are all joined at the hip. Then there's the dual ASR envelope generator. Yeah, okay. And then we've got the ring crossfade and the delay, which is actually more of a flanger. I've got the make noise maths over here, which is an attenuverter. I will get into what that does later on. And then there's a rotating clock divider, which I use if I just want to fiddle about with my clock signal or a clock trigger signal. So it's coming out of this. What have I done? Let's go first for the audio. I've got my oscillator right here. This is an oscillator that goes all the way to LFO rate. So if I turn this down, you can hear it breaks up so far apart that you can actually hear the cycles almost. So we'll go up here. Everything that I'm doing here is very, very, very delicately spaced in. So let's just put this one on 1 o'clock. Yeah, that's the pitch of my Pittsburgh oscillator. Now, let's first go for what's happening. I'm using a triangle wave because that got enough texture to stay alive if I'm going to manipulate it through filters and envelope generators. So first of all, the output of my triangle wave will go into the input of the low pass filter. That's first. In the low pass filter, I've got the input level set on 10 o'clock because this will go to Gabba Rotterdam after party mode very fast if I tweak the knob all the way to the right. Now this is how I like it because the input level and the cutoff frequency, they both do a song and dance, and it's very important. Also on the filter, something that I didn't mention is the drive knob, which after the whole circuitry is done and you hear your filter, you can actually just like swap it over and it does a nice crunch towards the end of your sound. So if I turn it off, you can hear that the input level now is more of a 808 pitched down. let's go back to where we were, because I'm not afraid of a bar fight, so let's go back in. So what have I done? I turned on the drive because I need a bit of attitude, because if I play my TB03, which is on track 2 on my multi-clock, come on man, how is this not warehouse acid house, you know what I mean? Okay, let's not get carried away. So you can hear it. In the grand scheme of things, you want to hear how this materializes to a complete beat. Let's play the rest of the... Now you can hear, this now is a bass drum that's very aggressive for the sound that it's playing right now. So what you need is to back off a little bit. I can do that by either dialing out a little bit of the cutoff frequency, but it does not so much for the character of the sound. So what I would rather do is leave this on the 2 o'clock where it was and just, yeah, there you go. You just smooth it out. And what I like about the Erica Synths Modules is that the way the sound structure is, you can really dial in a specific taste of where you want the sound to go. Now this I like. Now let's put in the TB03. You gotta love it, man. This is amazing. Okay, now let's just turn the music off and go back to the kick. You can hear that this kick does a few things. If you listen carefully, you can make out 2 or maybe 3 sounds at the moment. You will hear an attack. I'm not going to mimic it because you're going to laugh at me anyway. Okay, that attack is pretty soft. Now, before I move on, let's first explain what the rest of these things are doing. Now, I've explained the filter. Let's go over to the envelope generator. The envelope generator does a bit what maths does, the attenuator. It will, give you an envelope so you can make the sound longer and shorter. There's a few things that you can also do. There's an end of cycle and an end of rise, so you can see that it triggers at the end of the envelope, so as soon as it hits the sound. Now it's completely open, so it doesn't really do that. So, but if I go back, you see that it's going the end of cycle 1. There you go. Bop, bop. So this fires off a trigger signal at the end of its envelope. Now you've got the gate signal in, which in this case is coming from a trigger signal that's coming out of the Metropolis. So the Metropolis is absolutely making sure that it gets a clock signal, which in turn gets a clock from the multi-clock right here. So the multi-clock goes into the clock signal in, then it distributes a clock signal to the rest of my modular. Now I've multiplied the clock signal to go to maths as well as to the gate input for the envelope generator, because the sound here is only length. This is just the length of the envelope. But over on the other side, on maths, this is where the pitch is, because the output of the sum output of maths goes into the 1 volt per octave input on the oscillator. And the 1 volt per octave input is where you usually create melodies or pitch. So, and if you hear this, I need. So let's make a longer envelope. So this is what's happening. So you see how this to have that low end frequency happening, you need to really carefully dial in where the pitch goes, because this does 2 things as well. You know, on the maths, when I turn that pitch down, you will hear actually the attack and the texture of your kick change. So I've got 2 things happening. I've got envelope generation here, and I've got envelope generating over here, which goes from the pitch. And then obviously the other knobs do different things as well. Now, what I like about the envelope generator on the Erica Synths Dual ASR is that this gate input 1 is multiplied to the, is normal to the second one. So to the gate input 1 and the gate input 2, you can see the red knobs blinking in unison, which means that I only need one gate signal to come out of one gate signal to go in, and it triggers both those dual ASR, because you can just put a line over on the middle side. This thing is just chopped in half. Yeah, so you got another gate signal that goes in here. You can hear nothing happens now. It doesn't fire off anything. So there you go. Nice. So we've got the bipolar output going to my VCA, and the VCA on the CV1, which I can also see. So there's a lot of parameters that you can change. Now on this Doppler A131 VCA, you don't want to go completely crazy into it. So the audio obviously comes out of the filter that goes in there. The levels is, this one goes on 1 o'clock, and then my output goes on 12 o'clock. The dial is just like bang, dead center. Because if you turn it up, it starts to really, you see? It starts to introduce artifacts, as I call them. So you don't want that. Now, I have got this thing set up on my Patreon page. If you want to just like go into what it does exactly, you can check that out there. And let's see how a kick like this with a lot of envelopes and a lot of yeah, how shall I put it? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can do with your kick now. You can make it longer, as I said. You can make it higher, as you do over here. You can make it more aggressive. You can make it a little bit more friendly. Well, this is a nice one. Yeah, so there you go. Can you see how with a few tweaks of the knob you can completely change that thing around? So go in with your TBR3. This is just low-end frequency content. I mean, I sincerely hope and pray to all the heavens that you're listening to this on decent headphones, because this is just, you know what I mean? Okay. Now, this I would sample and stick on my MPC just for sake of being lazy, because I just, you know, if I take everything out, you're probably just gonna lose it. But then again, I have, yeah, like I said, I've just mapped out the patch, so the patch is available on my Patreon page. Now, the thing that I really enjoy about the Erica Synths modules is that every little increment changes the sound considerably, because that's the same with the TB03. Now the kick aligns pretty neatly with what's happening. So if I turn this up to TB03, I will need to turn up my kick as well. Can you imagine if I didn't do that in 10 seconds, but I would do that in 2 minutes, gradually? You'll be dancing and you didn't even know what hit you. So that's what I like. So I gave myself a lot of range with the filter. Now the cutoff frequency filter, if you do a song and dance with the input level, leave the input level roughly at 9 o'clock and then just like tweak between 11 and 1 o'clock. You see? So this is like breakdown or a drop or whatever, and then take it up to 1 o'clock. But listen what happens between 11 and 1 o'clock. It's kicking you, but it's not really aggressive. Now, in short, the maths does the attack, it slows the attack down, obviously, and it does the pitch, yeah? As you can hear, because the maths got the rise and the fall, obviously that's just like an attenuator, so you can utilize different things. I use it for attack now. It's getting an input signal as well, you know, like I said, it's getting a trigger in, so you can see that the left first channel now is getting a clock signal as well. And then I'll leave the rise up. Track 2 obviously, because it's a summed output of whatever is happening on this thing. This is nice, but does it still resemble a kick? I think it's going to be too aggressive. Okay, this is even more a kick. But the thing you need to watch out for is wet cardboard box syndrome, is what I call it. When you're kicking a wet cardboard box, it's flobby, it's, you know, so you need it to be punchy. Keep a compressor in your head. I don't compress my sounds, but if you tweak it well, you know exactly what to listen for so that it becomes, yeah, it becomes the one sound, one condensed sound. So let's turn this down. Let's see if we can do different kicks on the music, shall we? And I'll explain what I'm doing. Music. Nice. Okay, now I think the kick is a little bit too aggressive. Nice. And I think it's a little bit too long as well, so I'm going to shorten it. Now that I shortened it, I think it's too sweet again, so let's put a little bit more cutoff frequency on there. There you go. Now when you shape sounds, the most important thing to always remember is to look for transients, look for articulation to stand out through the sounds that you're listening to. You don't necessarily need to hear the whole sound, and that's how you just utilize your whole live set anyway. You know, if you're looking for sounds to stand out, a lot of people are asking me, how come that your sound is so well balanced? Well, the thing is, I'm not trying to just like utilize a complete sound to go sit next to another sound. You can't get 3 mini towers to do a song and dance with the 3 Model Ds. That's just not going to work. But if you pick what specifically works on what sound, then you can utilize that a little bit. Like with this kick, for instance, let's turn off the TB03. If you're listening to this sound, now it's a little bit higher up, pitched higher up. First pitch on the oscillator, yeah? It does the same as mass, almost, but now you can hear that the attack starts to become a little bit more lazy. Woo, 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 instead of do, do. So I'm dialing it down to the point where it's almost not noticeable how short my attack is. This becomes too dull. This is where the wet cardboard box starts to come in again. So we like this, yeah? Bam, bam. Cool. Now that we have that. Another thing that I've done is I have dialed in some frequency modulation. So the triangle wave will go into the filter. That's how I shape the sound with an envelope. And then the saw wave goes back into the FM, into the frequency modulation. Because now, listen to this. I can just completely break up the sound, so it gives a little bit more texture to the sound. It gets a little bit thicker. So then you dial this into where it becomes one sound again. Now it's a little bit too clean. And here it is. This is nice. I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. It might be still on the high side. Then if I want to turn it down, I'll use mass for that. I mean, what's not to like here? You know what I mean? I like it. Now, that's it. Now, can you completely change this sound around to be something else? I think so. Yeah, put a little bit of reso on it. Here I think you can pitch your kick if you wanted to. Not sure why you would use it that way, but maybe. I mean, it's all things that you can do live. But that's the resonance, so you can hear that the resonance does a lot. why people are scared of modular most of the time, because you can get out of control pretty fast. So now again, those steps I have mapped them out in a clear to see sort of like PDF, which is available on my Patreon page. You won't be breaking the bank, you can check it out, and the higher tier patrons obviously are going to get this right after the video. Now, and I'm always trying to just, like, whatever I do, try to just focus on keeping the sound one sound. What do I mean with that? Because if you listen, turn off at the 303, there's three things happening. There's a tick, 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 tick. Let's make it a little bit simpler. I will simplify it for you. The letter D, is very predominantly there. Try and focus on the letter D, but the. It needs to be there. Now, in my mind, it starts to become more of the letter P, b. And it needs to be a cross between those two letters here. So that top end aggression is gone here. So once you've got your input level sorted, you dial down your cutoff frequency to the point where it still becomes an attack and not so much a smeared stroke of peanut butter almost. That's what you don't want. At least not if you need it to lead the rest of your music. Okay. Now that's pretty much how I set that up, you know. I mean, also, yeah, because that's something that I didn't tell you. This clock signal is getting a division, because if I just speed this up, so here's another division as well. So this goes on 4. I've got 129 BPM going, divided by 4 now, you know, so it's faster. So on the multi-clock it says 129, that's going into the clock signal. So let's run it over, and then I guess we're going to wrap it up. Clock signal coming from my multi-clock. On track 1, the multi-clock sends out trigger signal. Nice. So my modular eats that. Because I've got an MPC Live first edition, so I don't have any CV gate on there, as well as my octa-track doesn't send any CV gate. So I need to utilize that. So coming out of the multi-clock on channel 1 is a clock signal that goes in the 1 clock signal. As you can hear, nothing happens if I take it out. And there you go again, which means that you have to go like in the in, you have to just put your Metropolis on external, otherwise it won't work. As I said, see, now it's going to go on its own clock, which is like if I put BPM here. Oh, did I lie? Yes, I lied. Okay, anyway, externally, bam, nice. I wish you did that live as well, to just stay in there. But cool. Now you can see that it's running, and if I turn off my multi-clock, and it's on internal, that's what I said. So if I'm going to go to external and hit it there, if I turn it off, then it stops. See? I was almost lying to you there. Okay, so channel 1, bam, bam, bam. There you go. Nice. I love the multi-clock. Now, clock signal gets a division. 1 goes into the trigger input on maths. On maths, I sum everything together. So the summing output goes into the 1 volt per octave on the oscillator. The triangle wave goes out of the into the low pass Erica Synths. The output goes into the audio in on the VCA as well, and then the audio out goes to the mixer, which is why you're hearing it right now. Now, frequency modulation, going the saw wave going back into the oscillator, when dial in a little bit of frequency modulation to fatten up the sound, make it a little bit richer. Then I've got the envelope generator, which gets a clock signal as well in the gate 1, so I'm only using the 1 output. Then the bipolar output goes into the CV gate on the VCA as well, where I can utilize how aggressive everything is actually listening to what it is that I am doing. And then the audio in the attenuator for that goes on 1 o'clock, because you don't want to go in too aggressively, because listen to this. That's the thing with the top 4 modules. They basically tell you to not exceed 1 o'clock on certain settings, because the sound does different things. You know, you have to, it's not just a volume knob. Things actually happen when you start to just tweak the sound, and it's all voltage, as you can hear. So the more you crank up the heat, the more you're going to be out of control with what's happening. So whatever you just approach something like this, small steps, small increments, that is actually how you would do it. Now on future videos I will go into what these do exactly. I think I've explained it well for you today. Do you dig this coffee mug? Do you want one? If you want one, leave a comment in the section below. Yeah, it's just bad humor. It's all bad humor. You know what it is? You know it's bad humor, but in the end, coffee's good. Not too hot. Cold actually, but I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope that you enjoyed what it is that I'm doing. I'm not a modular sort of like guy per se, but I do love the tactile, hands-on nature of it. What I don't like about modular is that for me, I'm all over the place. So for me to reproduce what I've done sometimes is just going to be hard. So that's why I don't really like to bring a modular to the stage. Then again, I've had a modular synthesizer for a long time. So since I had it, there's a lot of new modules that came out that can do a little bit more of that total recall thing. Then as Analog Kitchen, I'm trying to just keep the workflow analog. So having a lot of modules that have got memory, which is it pretty much sounds like a DAW to me, and I don't want to be, not for this project at least, I don't want to just go in that direction. So this is the way I utilize my kick drums. It's not to say that I'm going to use that kick drum live on stage, because I want you to see how I make a kick from scratch, and I hope that you picked something out of that so that it's useful. Now links to the equipment note in the fold below. Yeah, right. Leave a comment, let me know what you think. Don't be a stranger. If you love what you see, you like what you hear, support the fact on patreon.com/analogkitchen. That's connected to Discord. There's a lot of stuff happening, especially talking about that mixer. Now if you made it this far into the video, you're an absolute superstar. Hit subscribe if you did not do so already. By this time I think you like it so much, you might want to just like be on the up and up and just get those videos regularly. Hit the bell, then it will happen. Okay, now if anything else, I'll catch you. Music on Bandcamp, by the way. I'll catch you next week on another video. Peace.